it is my extreme pleasure to introduce Senator Kaine.
I want to thank Freddie and all of Freddie's employees and all the guests tonight. Freddie is a real institution because 18 years ago he started, am I 18, right? 18? Started this wonderful establishment that has been a gathering point, a community hub for the neighborhood, for our military community at the Pentagon, for the LGBT community across Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland. And you were a pathbreaker, a pathfinder, and a trailblazer. And I want to thank Freddie for that. When I walked into Freddie's Beach Bar, he showed me that I had sent him a letter like a month ago. And whenever I see my signature on a letter, I say, "Man, my staff is good." You gotta praise the people that you work with. But it's because Freddie has become such a community hub. And it's interesting, we've had a bar that's open that many years to meet people who've worked with him for 15 years, 17 years, 17 and a half years. That doesn't happen with a bad boss, that happens with a good boss. So, this is a bar that's a hub for a lot of communities, but it started as a hub for a community that was feeling pressed on, distressed, oppressed in Virginia, the LGBTQ community.
Yep.
I hope you feel, those of you who either live in Virginia or close, I hope you feel that we've been on an arc where we've been getting every day a little more inclusive, a little more progressive, a little more focused on education, a little more focused on compassion. We've said for 40 years that Virginia is for lovers. We're living a little more like that. Check my but we've said for 200 plus years that we're about equality. You know, and we didn't live that way for so long. It's interesting that there's probably the paradigmatic Virginia politician, Thomas Jefferson, a very compromised individual. At least he had in his mind the right idea to say, as a nation, we're going to make equality our North Star. Now, what is a North Star? Anybody? Any sailors in the room? I mean, I know we got Navy.
Army.
What is a North Star? A North Star is something that you navigate by, but you don't get to. Right? You navigate by, but you don't get to. So, equality, Jefferson set it out as a North Star. We navigate by it, but we're human. We're imperfect. I mean, it's a perfect ideal. We're not perfect. But our whole history as a country has been trying to navigate and get closer and closer to it. We'll never reach it, but we can always get closer and closer to it. And that's been an exciting aspect of the last, 20 or 30 years in Virginia, especially the last few years, is that we were the ones that threw the North Star out there. We were the leaders. Then for a very long period of time, we kind of went into an eclipse where we weren't that important from probably 1840 to about 2008 in national political life. But then we started to realize, wait a minute, we had a good idea way back, and we want to reclaim it. When I was asked by Hillary Clinton to be her vice presidential nominee, when the first woman nominee to be president asked me to be on her ticket, I was the first Virginian to be on a ticket, a national ticket, since 1840. We had 5 of the first 10 presidents. We had 3 of the first 10 vice presidents. But then beginning in 1840, we went into eclipse. Why did we go into eclipse? We went into eclipse because the Virginians that said equality was the North Star, by about 1840, like, we were the biggest promoters of slavery and inequality. And so we went into eclipse from 1840 to like 2008. We started to break through, and some of you were part of this. We started to like reverse our fortune when we became the first state to elect an African American governor, Doug Wilder, in 1989. That was a big deal.
Yes.
We started to decide we don't want to live like a museum piece looking backward. We want to reclaim our original equality principle. And then with President Obama, we've turned forward. When I was governor in 2006, the state decided to put a egregiously discriminatory constitutional amendment in that I campaigned against, defining marriage as a very exclusive thing. God, what a weird time that was. I was governor, to put into our Constitution a civil rights prohibition. Most constitutions are about offering rights. Few bills of rights are about taking rights away from people. But in 2006, my legislature decided we want to take rights away from people. And as governor, I campaigned against it, but we fell short and we lost. One of the reasons that I ran for the Senate in 2011, elected in 2012, was because there was unfinished business. And the unfinished business was complete LGBT equality. And I ran and I won, and then here we are with the Supreme Court advances every day. But don't we know there's still a lot of unfinished business? I mean, God.
Yep.
You know, this administration is trying to roll back LGBT protections. Our dreamers still lack support. TPS recipients of El Salvador and other nations still lack support. So maybe there's, I don't know, Freddie, maybe there's always unfinished business. We set goals out before ourselves, and then we can achieve them, but then we look and we realize there's still unfinished business because that North Star.
We'll get there.
No, I don't know. I think you can steer by that, but I'm not sure you ever reach it, but you got to steer by it. And so that's what I've tried to do as a civil rights lawyer, as an elected official, state, local, federal. I'm running for re-election in 2018. I'd love your support. Thanks so much. Everybody have a great night. Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you.
Right.
So Kaine doesn't have to be as
No.
He's very relaxed and very. The question is, did he finish his second
All right, guys. If we could get one more round of applause for Senator Tim Kaine. We're so happy that he was able to make it here tonight. That was amazing.